BONG! Knicks Nights. I'm your host, JiggaManPorto. You can't talk Knicks without Jerry Ferrara, Drew Austin. What's up, guys?
What's up? What's up?
Guys, I know I usually try to have like a whole structure, right? But we got to jump in right away with who wants to break down the breaking news that just came out?
I mean, I don't even know how to break anything down at this point. Not surprising that, Randall. I mean, I'm not surprised by any of this. Over half the Knicks team has had it at this point.
Seriously.
But you thought we kind of maybe got rid of it, but also maybe explains the performance last night, because he definitely did not seem like himself, even with the kind of rough year. So you hope he's okay, right. Obviously. You hope he's experiencing mild stuff. And I don't know, the NBA hasn't issued new protocols yet, so I don't know if he has to do the full sit out, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting with no Randall. So, Drew's excited.
So I'll tell you this. I don't want to. This is not a conspiracy show, but I have a conspiracy.
Okay. Oh, I love conspiracies.
Come on.
I think Randall needed a break. Mentally, physically, and he's not the kind of person who would quit on his team. He's a captain. He's a hard guy, and I think he needed this. I think the team needed it. I think that he has been stressing. I think a few games, 3 games or so, with him sitting, watching basketball again, watching the game, seeing what the team needs, letting some of the other players develop. I honestly think that there's a strong possibility he doesn't even have COVID, and the guy just needs to recover.
That is an excellent conspiracy theory. That is one of the better ones I've heard in a while. Drew Austin saying, you know what? I don't even know if I buy that he's in protocol.
It's funny because so many of the people that are posting on social, you've got that mixed bag, right? You got one that literally said COVID came to save the day. Give Obi Toppin those minutes today. So, I mean, this is messed up. And then you got those other ones that are like, oh, that sucks.
The coach is not – coach is not benching Randall. That's his captain. He knows that. I think that the team is not trying to hurt Randall in any way. They're not trying to see him go to the bench. They just can't not play him for long periods of time because they need him as that figurehead for the team right now. He's the vet leader. And I just think that this could not have came at a better time. We have our pieces back. It's time for him to take a break. He needs a break, badly. And I think this is just, I honestly think this is when I saw this, every other time I've seen someone go down with COVID, I've been disappointed and I'm like, oh, another one. And this one, I was like, I've never seen someone need a break more than him. So I'm actually all for it.
So couple things on that. And this is going to be a little bit more free-flowing segment, I guess, because this is breaking news.
Break. No plans.
I think there's just too much Julius Randle slander going on. Not in this. I'm just talking about in general amongst Knicks fans. Now, I get it. He is not performing even close to the level where he was last year. And maybe that level is something that is unrealistic for him to do year in, year out. It could have been a career year. Mm-hmm. And now he'll still be a really good player. And, I think the struggles are that, he's not sneaking up on anybody anymore. So when you prepare to play the Knicks, we do not run complicated offense. This is not, the 2018 Warriors coming at you. There's no off-ball stuff. There's minimal pick and roll stuff. We get in transition. It's built around defense and shot making. And right now, and we'll get into last night for sure. I can't wait. Mm-hmm. No one is making shots until last night, and then some guys did. But no one is making shots really on a consistent level. So Randall's just having a bad year. Do I think he needs a break? I don't think it'll hurt. Now, again, I loved your conspiracy, Drew. I do think he realistically has COVID, so you just hope that obviously there's no long-lasting effects. But yeah, I don't think I thought the best thing about last night, there's a couple, and we'll get into it, was the fact that Randall only played 22 minutes or something. So he actually got to reset, and he definitely needs to figure out, everyone sort of needs to figure out their new role and identity, along with Thibodeau, with this team, because it's not last year. Last year was a one-off.
Yep.
But that does not mean, and I got a lot of stuff today. I got a lot of stuff on my mind.
Good.
Does
Make my
not
job
mean that
easy,
we still
Jerry.
cannot compete at a high level, not a championship level, but a high level.
Do you think, because what we saw in that Atlanta Hawks series last year, where they figured out Randall, they just like, and honestly, if you've ever seen them play in every game they've played the Knicks since, Randall is completely shut down. So whatever it is that they figured out, they know how to stop Julius Randle. I think the league took note, because you're seeing a very similar style of force Randle quickly into either double teams or make him handle the ball more. And like whatever the recipe was, which it's hard for me to pinpoint off the top of my head right now, but whatever the recipe was that Atlanta executed almost to perfection for 5 straight games, and then even the games this season they've played, executed it again. I think the rest of the league is following through on that. Now, I don't know if that got in his own head, and now he's like concerned that people are figuring him out, and that's affecting his game again. What I will give him credit for is that the adjustment that he's made is his passing has become, top tier for a big man. He is, what is he averaging? 5 assists a game or something to that nature. He has really figured out a way to get the rest of the team involved while he's struggling. But I think there's only 2 options here right now as I see it. The league figured him out, and he has to figure out a new way to be able to contribute offensively to the game, or he's in his own head because he thinks the league figured him out.
I think the other thing that just can't be ignored, and I don't mean to talk too much here, but the bottom line is he had a career year from 3. He shot 42% from the 3-point line last year. A lot of that was open and contested, just shot from 3. One of the top shooting, not only big men, players in the NBA from 3. Anything with a 4 in front of it in the NBA, and you are set for life from 3 with the way the game's being played. And now he's back down to kind of where his career is. I mean, I think that opens up so much for the entire Knicks team when he's hitting 3s at that kind of rate. His assists were up a little bit last year. They're actually down a tick from this year. And the bottom line, too, is other guys aren't hitting shots. His assists could be higher. RJ is shooting the 3 ball he just went off a cliff from the beginning of the year. So and now there does seem to be effort stuff going on, which I don't think is like a lack of fire or desire. I think it goes to your point, Drew. I think maybe the guy just needs to take a break. I don't know I don't know. These are guys who are in.
I think you said it last week, right, Jerry? You said it last week, kind of like with Randall, right? He started getting the yips. Maybe the break was good for him. Maybe it's the same thing with Randall, right? He's in his head way too much. You see it when he's playing. Maybe this might be the reset he needs, because
I'm really when last week we said hot or not, will RJ come back strong? Jerry,
he had a good game last night, but no, the first 2 games back definitely did not come back strong.
I'm actually going to take the other side this time on Randall coming back strong.
Yeah,
I think this is, again, I just think this is what he needed. Now, the last thing about this before we move on. Now, I'm in New York. New York got cut from. I don't know if this was New York or countrywide. It's 10. We got reduced from 10 days to 5 days now.
Yeah, I think that's everywhere. I think that's
okay.
Yeah, countrywide.
So does that mean I assume the league has to follow the government?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm not exactly sure if you would think the NBA would be very happy to go by 5 days. So I guess he's out for 5 days. And then if he feels better and doesn't have anything that actually physically can't allow him to play, then I think he'll be back after 5 days. It is a good stretch for him to miss, although in a weird way, some of these games are games you would want him to maybe get his rhythm, but I do think the rest is more important.
I agree.
We got Thunder coming up, like Raptors, who we definitely owe one to, and then we'll get more into the schedule because I have a correlated thing with that. But
and I don't know if we're heading into like the previous week right now, but like we've been playing G League teams, like straight up, listen, I will like you always say, we'll take any win we can get every fucking time. But with that said, we are playing G League basketball teams, and it's been way.
So let's
Porter, I don't want to jump on what you got in store for us today. So I am over here like a cage.
You're good. Let's jump
ready
in.
To,
I mean,
ready to go.
Let's
get to
that
it.
breaking news threw us off. So let's jump into the weekly recap. All right. Since last week, let's talk about those G League teams Drew's talking about. We had the loss to the Wizards, right? 124 to 117. Trash. We had that nice Christmas Day victory over the depleted Hawks. We'll take that bing bong all day. 101-87. Timberwolves, 96-88 for another bing bong win. And then last night's Pistons, 94-85 with the sloppy thank you bench recovery. Where do you guys want to start? We want to start with last night, or we want to go back and kind of just talk over? Let's go back.
Let's go back. What did we start with? Wizards, you said? Was the Wizards the beginning of the week for us?
The Wizards was the night that we had the last show. Yep, where we took that L, 124 to 117. And you know what, guys? I see in the back room, Hector from the Love of the Game jumped on. I'd love to get his take on some stuff, too. What's up, Hector?
What's good, guys? How you doing? Hey, Jerry. Hey, Drew. Jigga. Hope all is well. Salute.
Yeah, man. Well, we're going to jump into some of this weekly recap. Drew, go ahead, man. Start with the Wizards 124-117.
Let's go. I mean, I guess first we have to talk to Kemba, right? I mean, Kemba was the story of that game. And, I mean, so I think that was what? Kemba dropped 44 that game? Was that the game? Just making sure I'm aware. So, Kemba, 44 points. Unbelievable performance. It was fun to watch, actually. He looks like he has fun when he plays, which is cool. Sometimes I had this quote, I said this thing on Twitter, and a lot of people actually responded. I think Kemba's too smiley for Tibbs. That's another conspiracy. I swear to God.
Drew coming in hot with the conspiracy.
Drew came in all tinfoil out today.
Dude, Tibbs, there's no one Tibbs likes more than Derrick Rose. I've never seen him express emotion. Taj Gibson never expresses emotion. Like, his guys are straight, like, take care of business. No, they don't have. He doesn't want to see people have fun. Fun is not like when your coach comes in, you guys, I want you to have fun today. Like, enjoy what you do for a living. Tibbs is not about that. Tibbs wants you to work your ass off and feel pain physically when you're off the court. And I think Kemba might be a little too giddy for Tibbs' style. That being said, Kemba played ball. Kemba balled. He played as good as he can play. Unfortunately, nobody else played well.
I know. How horrible is it to drop 44 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, and then we have nobody else contribute?
Guys, I'm looking at, like, I could be wrong here, but, like, I mean, listen, there was no bench scoring whatsoever. And we were very thin that game. That was like the last game where Toppin just got back. We had to play Dotson. We had to play House. We had to play Sims, who actually played. I actually liked his game.
Mm-hmm.
He played well. But, like, listen, we're playing guys a lot of minutes. Fournier, 2 for 13, 38 minutes. Like, that's unacceptable in a game where you just, like, you need all hands on deck. So, listen, I thought that it was great from that game. My takeaway was fantastic to see Kemba come out there. And, like, it brought me back to the Nate Robinson game when he was benched for 8 straight games, came out, dropped 50, was smiling all over the court. D'Antoni was like, oh, God, he did it again. And, like, it was just so much fun and joy seeing a guy get off the bench and prove how good they really are. I saw that with Kemba, but, it was another disappointing loss with a half-baked team.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry, do you want to touch on that game too, or do you want to jump to the Christmas Day?
Just real quick on that one. Yeah, I mean, the minute I saw that Beal was out with the health and safety protocol, I started saying, oh, we're in trouble, because it just smelled letdown-ish, and we had the Christmas Day stuff coming up. So, but yeah, I mean, it just was, to me, that game also was like an effort thing. Like, I think overall, like, Fournier had a nightmare game. Burks was okay. Obviously, Kemba was good. Even Randall, although he was 0 for 5 from 3, like, Randall was okay. I mean, Kemba led the team in rebounding that game, which was kind of also shocking. And we were thin. Letting the rookie Kispert get off for 21 or whatever 20 he had. Dinwiddie, is always going to get up for the Knicks because he's been talking trash about the Knicks since his Nets days.
Yeah.
I had a bad feeling once Beal was out. So, Yeah, I didn't love that from the beginning, but I'm definitely ready to talk about the T-Wolves, which is, well, although we had the Christmas Day game before that, right? I think.
Yeah, Christmas Day, we had the victory 101-87. Of course, everything statement-wise online was you guys
Randall was
beat
great that
the
game,
Hawks
Drew.
nobody.
So it
He
wasn't
really
a full
was.
Hawks unit. So I'll let you get a reprieve on that. It wasn't a full Hawks unit, but Randall was great on Christmas Day against the Hawks. He was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, if you look,
what do you think of Christmas Day?
well, I was going to bring up, if you look at Randall's numbers when it comes to playing on national televised games, he's actually doing real well. He's shooting 40% from beyond the arc. He's averaging 25 points. His assists are up 6.5, almost 7. So he does well when we play nationally televised games when the eyes are on him. But I think this goes back, and I said it before on other shows, but it goes back to last year. Randall played in an environment that had no fans, so you didn't have all that interaction. When it came time to the playoffs, that first game in the playoffs in the Garden, that energy, that atmosphere was something different, and I don't think he's recovered from then. I think he's stuck in his head.
So you're saying that, like what I was saying earlier, that you still think he's thinking about that series and how they figured it, and they figured it, and it's in his head. I think it's viable. I think it's a viable thing.
Yeah, but do you guys feel, since we're talking about Randall, he keeps coming up, obviously. I mean, it feels like even over the last stretch since last week, you had 2 games where he had that decent, right? A couple points. And then you're like, okay, he's finding that groove. And then instantly he's right back to cold. I mean, last night was a perfect example. I mean, it's just, it has to be in his head. I mean, at this point, or just people are figuring him out. But I can't. He
gets frustrated. He gets frustrated whenever he gets those little petty turnovers, when he argues with the refs, and he takes himself out of the game.
Well, that's actually really interesting you say that. I also saw a lot of people complaining about his overall demeanor this year. Like again, he's got to be a leader first. Like I've never looked at him as a go-to scorer. I still think that's probably the biggest hole on the team is that Julius Randle needs to be our number 1 scorer. It's to me the biggest flaw, which is why I actually thought that Kemba was such a great addition because the guy's a bucket. He can handle the ball and create a shot. So I thought that was going to take a lot of the load off of Randle. Now that being said, listen, like I think that was like I just. Overall, my feeling, I completely agree. I think he needs to be a leader. He needs to be a captain. And his demeanor and his body expression and his face, like, you just don't want to see him lose it because then other players are going to follow suit and then they're going to lose it. You know what I mean? And I think that's also another reason why I think, the coach is just every time he can give praise to Taj Gibson, he does. And don't get me wrong, Taj Gibson is owed every inch of praise every time that guy touches the court. I mean, it is like rare to see someone influence a game as much as this. Like, I don't know, how old is he? 50? Like he's so old, and he just goes out there and plays Charles Oakley like basketball, and just changes the basketball game every time the guy steps on the court. You're never going to see a statistic that actually is impressive, but like, and Coach Tibbs absolutely adores him, and I get it why.
Taj is 36 years old, which sadly enough, I told you guys, sad day when Vince Carter retired because I officially became older than every NBA player left in the league. So that hurt my feelings. Look, that Timberwolves game too, got scary there for a minute. We did get a good bench effort. It was kind of spread out. Like no one had like a dominant game off the bench. We got very balanced scoring, but that's to me kind of the Mitchell Robinson game. He was the best player on the court that game and completely like dominated, showed it, put his will out against the Wolves and they folded. So, but that's where you started to see a little bit like Kemba came back down to reality. RJ still not shooting. Randall didn't have a great game, but other guys were picking it up, and that's where this is all leading to, which was last night. But let's keep going.
So let's talk about Mitch. Mitch is learning how to play. Like he is now. I think he is now. I almost every one of these episodes I talk about Mitch's weight and the gain, and then coming back from the injuries. He is starting to figure out how to move his new body around. I mean, we have to realize that guy added like what is it, 30% or 25% in terms of weight of his body weight. He had to learn how to replay after also missing a majority of the season last year. So I think he dropped 14 and 18, 14 points, 18 rebounds against the Timberwolves, and he's dominant on the defensive side. So sometimes I go through these phases with Mitch where I'm like, you know what? Do we trade him while he's young and everyone thinks the sky's the limit with him and get such a great, and like maybe it's really not, but then you see this like potential DeAndre Jordan disruptor to a game where you have league leading field goal percentage, defensive player of the year potential, and rebounding like a machine. And you're like, wow, there's only a few of those guys that come through this league nowadays. And then you want to just roll the dice on him. So if he can be consistent and start delivering performances like he's been doing and start to continue to learn how to play with his weight, I think he's a force in the middle, and he's young and he's a force.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of the progression from him, which is good, right? I mean, one week we're thinking, okay, has he not learned how to use that weight? Is the foot a problem? But I mean, I think he's getting more and more consistent as the games go. Mm-hmm. Jerry.
Wait, sorry.
Almost, Jerry, that close.
I want to tell people really quickly, just as a little bit of a complete derail. NBA Top Shot, 5 minutes. There's a pack drop. Just want to give you guys a heads up. It's a base pack, so don't get too impressed. But because we are an NFT community and we're talking sports, we're gonna try to incorporate a little more Top Shot going into the show going forward. We've been talking about it a little bit. Jerry, me and you we need to get a line a little bit more before we go deep. But there's a pack drop. Just want to give everybody a heads up.
Well, it's funny you said that because I was going to bring this up to you guys after the show. But our boy Edge in the Discord, right? Big guy with the Knights of Degen. I have never had a Top Shot. Told me to create an account, and he sent me a Top Shot last night.
There you go.
Now, I was really happy that he did it. I was like, oh, that's super good. But it was after Randall's performance, and he sent me a Randall. So I was like, was this also a slap in the face at the same time? But yeah, I love the fact that we're going to start ripping some packs on here, bringing that NFT world to here, and really see what we can pull together.
Yeah, I'm in the timeline, so if I get a pack, maybe we'll break it.
Nice. Cool. All right, Jerry, your moment is here. Let's talk Pistons.
Oh my God. I had so many emotions last night, and I had also just watched that movie Don't Look Up, which again, no spoilers. Whatever your feelings are on that movie, I don't care. You're allowed to do it. Like, think of what you ever want. I enjoyed it. Without giving too much away about that movie, basically, there's a comet that's coming to destroy Earth. The comet last night was the Pistons G League team coming to destroy New York and the New York Knicks. If the Knicks lost that game, I think we cancel this show. I think I stop watching. I think I go into protocols for the rest of the year and don't watch basketball. Yeah. And I just say, hey, you know what? I'm good. I'll see you guys October of 2022. I'm done. Like, I'm not watching basketball anymore because I got better things to do with my time. I was terrified watching Amadou Diallo and Sadiq Bey do whatever they want. Now, have you guys ever, in a million years watching basketball, I have never seen a plus-minus box score.
Never.
Like I've seen. I'm going to read you some stuff, okay? The starters plus-minus. Julius Randle, who only played 26 minutes. Not a lot for him. Minus 27. Mitchell Robinson, minus 22. Kemba Walker, minus 21. RJ Barrett, minus 29. Grimes, minus 17. That sounds as bad as it could get, but wait, flip it around. Obi Toppin, plus 36. Taj Gibson, plus 31. Miles McBride, a game-high plus 39. Alec Burks, plus 28. Happy New Year to Alec Burks, by the way. The only one who deserves a fucking Happy New Year, because you saved you saved New York from the comet that was the Detroit Pistons coming down to destroy our NBA season. You, my friend, he was like Bruce Willis more in Armageddon. He grabbed that button and he pressed it and he saved us all. And lastly, quickly, plus 27. I mean, I have always known we had a great bench. We had a great bench last year. Bench has been solid even without D Rose. It's just I've never watched it before. It's one thing if like if 2 starters don't have it going, right? And then you bring some heat off the bench and it stabilizes. All 5 starters on the same night, none of them had it going. 0.
Nobody.
And not only that, they stopped competing. They stopped running after loose balls. They didn't know. It didn't look like they knew what the Pistons were trying to do. And then you bring in these young guns off the bench, and all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, we're stabilized. I've never seen a game like that in my life.
Dude, and you wonder why, dude. The minute that game ended, Julius Randle walked off the court and he was like, "COVID." Conspiracy.
No, look, it explains actually if he was maybe starting to feel a little crappy last night. It certainly does explain some things because he didn't look like his motor was on last night. So it kind of does make sense. I just have all the way around. Half the starters are out of protocols already, and Fournier wasn't even there. So I just have never seen a game like that in my entire life.
It was all effort.
The analogies you just put throughout that segment, gold. Okay.
But again, guys, it's the Pistons. We're not saying like, oh wow, they had this weird effort against the Warriors or this weird effort against the Nets, and it was the Pistons. No disrespect, but like they're not trying to really win. Some guys are, like the guys who are up from the G League who are getting this shine, which that's been the only positive thing of all this craziness is you're seeing some guys who like you would have never seen before, and a lot of them are putting in work, so that's great. But I was like watching that game, I just didn't even know what to do with myself. So Alec Burks, Happy New Year, buddy. Have one on me tomorrow night. You all of New York owes you a debt of gratitude, and the rest of the bench, thank you.
Yes.
And a lot of these names that you're seeing is just like random names that is like don't even sound like NBA names. It's like when you're playing 2K and it generates a random roster. It's starting to sound like those names. We'll get into that point.
87.
Yeah. And to your point, when you brought up McBride, during the post game show, Alan Hahn brought up at one point he didn't score any points, McBride, but at one point he had a plus of 42.
Yep.
He had several steals. He was getting over screens,
Pesky.
as Clyde would say, with gusto. Mike Breen almost lost his mind on the calls last night. Like he was just like the roller coaster ride Mike Breen was on last night. Like Mike Breen might have quit if they lost to the Pistons last night. So,
Wally too.
Yeah, I mean McBride was getting over screens, playing D. Taj, like we talked about, Taj, he did show a little bit of emotion. Taj actually swung. I mean, Burke swung and won the game, but Taj in one stretch had like 4 defensive gems where you'd either block a shot or deflect the ball and it would go off a Piston player. Obviously, Burks was incredible. Obi brought energy, and they're starting to find him. I'm excited for him to be in the starting lineup. I hope that's the route they go.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And that all leads me to what I was saying now about this team. So last year, at this time, 35 games into the season, we were 18-17. This year, we are 17-18. Different path to get here than we did last year, but kind of the same theories, okay?
Yeah.
We are embarking on a very interesting part of the schedule, so I won't step on anything, Porto, if we're going down that route. But Tibbs, last night, to me, finally coached this roster that he has. He's been coaching this entire team like this is the team last year and a few new additions. But last night, I thought that was a ballsy-ass decision with 6 minutes to go to not go back to any start. He called the timeout to get those guys some air because they were getting a little gassed. And that was the coach of the year last year that we saw. And it's just a different team this year. And we got to find an identity, which to me means you got to fucking find minutes for McBride. You got to continue to find minutes for Grant. Even when the team is back full strength, you have to embrace what we are, which is a deep, young team. Because even if we're not going playoffs, then let's just get these guys activated and going. And so,
and Jerry, we talked last week about this. This is I was basically saying last week that we need to see the coach develop the young players. And what I've seen over these past couple weeks now is we have 5 young players positionally that fit as a rotation with McBride at the point, Grimes at the 2, RJ at the 3, Obi at the 4, and Mitch at the 5. That is a young Like, again, I'm not saying starting lineup. I'm saying we have 5 young, talented, deserving of minutes players that is now a core that could be a core for a very long time. Now, these guys have earned their burn. And if I'm Tibbs, I'm rethinking things. I'm starting Grimes. Like, I'll put that right out there. I'm starting Grimes. I mean, we found a prototypical 6'5", 3-and-D shooting guard that could knock down a jumper, can put the ball on the floor if he needs to, can penetrate. And plays locked. The guy's feet don't stop moving. Grimes is my guy, dude. I'm super excited about Grimes, and he is fearless. You give that kid the ball, and he's looking to put it in the bucket. The other side of it, and on the other backcourt member, you got McBride. McBride is like a mini Marcus Smart. That's what I see so far. And like Marcus Smart, probably one of my favorite players not in New York. He has that New York style, 90s Knicks type of like mean mug. Like, if you're going to try to go to the basket on me, you'll remember it and you'll feel it tomorrow. Like McBride is a tough defender, and he can shoot the jumper, get to the basket, doesn't turn the ball over a ton. So like, he's a solid ball player. Then you got, RJ's looking. RJ, I'm a little confused about, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not exactly sure what we're seeing from RJ right now. And I'm struggling a little bit to figure out, like, who is RJ Barrett? Like, I don't know yet. And I think by now we're supposed to know a little bit more than we do. So RJ, I'm still like, up in the air on. Obi is still figuring out his game, but I mean, every day we see something new and something impressive. And I'm very excited to see the next couple games where he gets real minutes and see what happens when Obi gets real minutes. And then Mitch is learning. Mitch is young. We forget how young he is. What is he, 22? Something like that here? I mean, he is a disruptive center. So, Mike, I think that I agree with you. I was thrilled that he showed the starters. You can't come into this game with that kind of small little effort and expect to finish it because your name is Fournier or Randall or, like, because you've been on all-star teams in the past. Like, that just doesn't fly. I thought, like, the only thing I was worried about was, like, shit, are these guys going to burn out of gas? Because I knew at some point there was no chance he was putting back in the starters. I thought he was going to go to Knox before he'd go back to anyone that started that group. So, anyway, that was kind of...
So, I mean, obviously, I'm going to do this real quick. I know we were going to... Pretty much, I think we're on the nose on who you guys picked anyways, but... So, Jerry, am I wrong in saying yours was Burks?
Right, Jerry, you're muted, buddy.
I don't know how that happened. Yeah, in fairness, look, I think that's unanimous. It was Burks, and I'm curious. Like, I think maybe we should remove him from the equation because it's just such an obvious thing. And again, Happy New Year, Alec Burks. I thank you. I wish your family a beautiful 2022. Thank you for saving New York from the comet. So removing him, I put Taj. That's my guy right there, Taj. I thought defensively he swung the whole thing. So I go Taj. I'm curious to hear everybody else's non-Burks pick.
All right. You know what?
Burks is, by the way, Burks is a really good basketball player. Like, he's just a good.
Might be our best player.
Sometimes you forget, like, he's like so low key that you just forget about him a lot, and he's just like a really talented basketball player. So like, happy to have him on our team. I'll tell you, like, he doesn't take, he's the kind of player who doesn't need a lot of minutes to contribute in a meaningful way, but when he gets a lot of minutes, he can deserve them and own them and play with them. He's not going to like fade out just because he's getting a lot of minutes. But if he doesn't get a lot of minutes, you're not feeling like, oh God, we need to get that guy minutes or he can't play well. So anyway, so I thought that was Burks. Obviously, my guy was Grimes, dude. I think Grimes is showing that he can be a guy we can depend on, and he can play. I think the coach is showing a lot of trust in him. I think he's giving him real minutes. And I think the coach wants him out there because he sees that the effort on defense, the feet moving, like Tibbs listens on that. When Tibbs is sitting on the sideline, he can close his eyes and just listen to the sneakers, on the court. And he knows if his team is playing hard or not. And when Grimes is out there, you're going to hear squeaking from the sneakers. And I think that's what he wants to hear.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Hector, while we're on the subject, man, and you're still here, Who you got?
I would say, and I know he didn't have a good game last game, but Kemba, being from the Bronx, what he did the other day against the Wizards, we lost that game, but he's bounced back. He took some time on the bench to reevaluate what this team needs from him. And I feel just like Drew, he's happy for Tibbs. Like Tibbs is somebody who's no nonsense. Like I give it up to Tibbs. He stands on that court, the sidelines with those 5 little strings of hair he has on top of his head, and he just lets his emotions go. So I just feel like Kemba smiling all the time is not the best thing. But I'm glad to see Kemba back. I just want Julius Randle to take this time to assess while he's off, and risk is to hope he's healthy, hope everything goes well. But Julius Randle has to step it up for the rest of the year. And a lot of people compared him to a better version of Zach Randolph. But I was talking about this the other day. He's starting to play like Antoine Walker. So he needs to go back to his form he had last year and not the Antoine Walker form that we're seeing right now.
100%. Yo, Hector, salute. Appreciate you stopping by, bro.
Always.
I think we should take a look at what's coming up next. What do you guys think?
Yes.
Beat just gets me every time. All right, so let's start tomorrow's game. We've got Thunder. How are we feeling about that one?
It's a take care of business game. No disrespect to the Thunder. And now, without Randall, it does make that, in a weird way, it makes that game a lot more watchable and interesting, seeing what exactly is going to happen, who's going to sort of step up, what the identity is going to be like. Nothing is officially like a given. Like we lost to the Magic twice. We almost lost that game last night. So you cannot even look past the Thunder at this point. I knew though they have some guys in protocol too. So I do think we just got to take care of business.
I was just about to ask that. Who's injured, who's not there?
I think Giddey is in protocol. A couple of players, but again, the Thunder who do compete, they do try, but I don't know if they're not really trying to win at this point. So this is just a take care of business game and try not to make it come down to the freaking wire. Just take care of business.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, listen, there's like, I was just reading a little bit about, this was kind of cool. There was a last game for the Thunder because people are getting called up like hours before a game. This guy, Scotty Hobson, played like 10 seconds in his debut, made a basket. He's 32 years old, and he was made his NBA debut, dropping a bucket in his 10 seconds of play. I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a bucket. I'm gonna get a bucket on one of these teams eventually.
Yeah.
Jerry. All right, so we know this is that stretch we're hoping should be what we need, even without Randall there. I think it's gonna give a lot of our young guys that time. How are we feeling about that Raptors game? They're another one dealing with some COVID issues as well.
They're dealing with stuff. We owe them one. We actually don't. When both teams are full strength, I don't think the Raptors are a good matchup for us at all. I don't like the way we match up with the Raptors at all. We're 0-2 against them this year, so you would think that no one's gonna have a hard time getting up for this one. Again, last year at this time, we were 18-17. We even got down to 20-21 in the shortened season. And that is when the season turned and we ended up going 41-31. So do the math there. We were 20-21 at one point and then finished 41-31. So this is around the time where things started to turn. And as I look at the schedule, I don't want to jump too far ahead. But yeah, we owe the Raptors, and then it's Pacers who we owe as well. And then, man, we got this home and home with the Celtics. And
I'm excited about that one because we have a show that day.
Really there.
So we need to have a big Knicks Celtics full episode next Thursday and really look at what's going on, because
it's exciting. The next 10 games, we're going to learn a lot. And now I know we're going to go through probably at least 3 of these, I think I would say, without Randall. 2 for sure, maybe 3. Right. And then depending on how he's feeling, you would hope no matter what that he's back for the home and home with the Celtics would be the thing. Sorry for jumping too far ahead, but there's some other bombs coming up later on this schedule. I mean, we got the home and home with the Celtics, then the Spurs come to town, take care of business. Mm-hmm. Porzingis comes back to the Garden right after that. That's going to be an emotional one. And then we will have the Knicks-Hawks matchup that we should have had on Christmas Day. Both teams should be full strength, God willing, by then. Right. And it's nonstop. Like, the season kind of starts now. We're a 500 team, a lot of games left. To me, the season starts now.
But here's what messes me up, Jerry, is I agree with you. But I still feel like with all the COVID regulations, with everything, 2 days from now, we have no idea who's all in.
But we've had
out.
7 guys go down already. Yeah, so, like, you would think, again, we all know nothing. But, you would think when Randall comes back, if you go down that checklist, that's Randall, RJ, Knox, Toppin, Quickly, Grimes, McBride. That's, I don't know, Mitch, no, right? That's 7 players. So really at the end of the day, we could lose Kemba, Robinson, Fournier. Like, we should be able to have a help, like 9 guys who could play.
Yeah. Listen, we had depth. We were a deeper team than most to begin with. Right. We always knew that we were a deeper team. Like, there were, again, we have guys like Knox who's not even close to the lineup right now, who can still come in and drop 15 points without a hesitation. So,
you're so optimistic. You think Knox could drop 15 without a hesitation, Drew?
All right, you know what? Hold on.
All right, let's not. Drew, I love the optimism.
Drew. Today, Drew's on fire.
He has to get his asset higher because he's always putting Knox in trades.
Here we go. This will work out well right here. New little piece for this week. I'm calling it the Tibbs factor. All right. After last night, watching Tibbs make the moves he made, literally bringing in our whole bench to save the night. Alex Burke pressing the button. Good call, Jerry. Drew, with this week's stretch of games, everyone back, obviously Randall now off. Who's your starting 5 if you're playing Tibbs?
I'm going Kemba at the point. I'm going Grimes at the 2. I'm going RJ at the 3. I'm going Obi at the 4. I'm going Mitch at the 5. And then I'm going going to go with McBride at the 1 behind him. I'm going with Fournier at the 2 behind him. I'm going with who's our backup 3?
Burks. We don't have Burks. Burks is the real question mark of, like, does he go into the starting lineup or does he stick second unit?
I think he's probably going to still captain the backup unit, so he'll probably go 3. I'd love to see Knox get some 4 minutes now that Randall's out, and then Taj get the 5 minutes. So that's what I'd love to see. I think it's going to be a good opportunity to get some of these guys minutes that don't usually get them. I hope to see Obi get 30 minutes and see what he does with it. And I think that Rose is going to fill. I think that McBride is going to fill in really nicely for Rose.
Cool. So, Jerry, if you're playing Tibbs, and after the move he made last night, do you play a scenario where you start with that young core and bench, pull away from the starters as a little wake-up call to them to continue to prove what the guys did last night?
So I made the analogy last show with the Kemba benching, which is like when someone's dating someone, you don't think it's the right fit, and then they break up, and then you tell your friend, like, oh, thank God you broke up with her. And then they're back together 2 weeks later. So I think Tibbs really is the key to this season and evolving his coaching. And I think, seeing from what we saw last night, I think he will. So that being said, I pretty much agree with Drew's line. Did you have Fournier starting?
I actually had Fournier coming off the bench with I had
right. Okay, so that's my
Fournier, Burks as the backup lineup, and going with Kemba, Grimes, and RJ as the 1, 2, 3 in the starting lineup.
I may potentially go Kemba, RJ, stick with Fournier, Toppin, and Robinson, because with Fournier, you literally know inside of like 3 minutes if it's his night or not.
Yeah.
You could tell right away.
Yeah.
If he comes out and he goes 2 for 3 from 3 with 2 assists, like, okay, we got a Fournier game, so we could trust him. You know, like if there's like 6 minutes into the first quarter and he's 0 for 3 with like a turnover, it's like you could pretty much sit him the rest of the game. But you know, I know I like sticking with what's working, and Grimes has been. I mean, Grimes has been starting. So that, I guess if I had to say, I would still go with Fournier over Grimes, but just basically tell Grimes, like, stay loose, Rook. Like, you, like 3 minutes in, you could be cut like first guy off the bench is Grimes to me. Yeah. I do think, like, hopefully I really get a good run at top, and I do think Knox should see some minutes, but I wouldn't count on him getting. I'd much rather Obi get the majority of those minutes, and you know, maybe Knox is another one you could check in with, like throw him in there. If he's knocking down some corner threes, you stick with him. If not, because he really doesn't do a whole lot at this point besides knock down some threes. So Knox might not get what everyone thinks he might get.
Yep, I hear you. Jigga, do you mind if I do a little transition into Top Shot again for a sec?
Please do.
Quick Top Shot thing. So something I noticed, and I was doing some research, like just there's a bunch of tools out there like Evaluate Market and Moment Ranks that show, like, you know, how things are performing. Interestingly, Hamidou Diallo in the last 48 hours has the most substantial growth of any Top Shot moment. I just thought that was interesting that, you know, we saw Diallo come in there and really do some really interesting things. His volume of trading and his value of his moments are up about 156% in the last 24 hours, which I thought was really fascinating. Another person, just again from our games, at least that we were watching, Burke's volume up 67%. For his Top Shot moments, for his lower end Top Shot moments. So it's really, I always find that and something I think that, like, as we move forward, you know, something we could kind of talk about or maybe even incorporate further in the show is talking about, like, what are we seeing from players in terms of, like, are we seeing investment opportunities in Top Shot from the games that we're watching and how players are performing? Because you can see very quickly in a game if a player is going to just like stand out, you're going to know that there are going to be people running to Top Shot to buy up those moments really quickly. And, you know, maybe it's something where we do some trading or whatever it does, and we can talk through trading activity. But like, you know, I thought a couple things that really stood out to me. I don't know why another person that really stood out here, Terry Rozier. I don't know if anything happened with him, but he seems to be one of the highest growth volumes. I didn't see his game. So I'd have to pay attention more. Another person who, just to throw some other stats out there, John Morant, he's back. He's healthy. We're seeing a lot. He's killing it. So, like, I know there was a lot. I'm a huge John Morant, his rookie, one of his rookie moments where he did, it was one of his debut moment. I think it was his debut. It was the hollow where there was only 25 of them editions made. That's by far my most valuable Top Shot moment in my collection. So yeah, that was like a legendary Top Shot, lowest supply of any moment, 25. So I'm pretty invested in Top Shot, in Ja's career in Top Shot. And, you know, when he goes down, you know, it's always worrisome because you just don't know with a guy like him. He's got the Derrick Rose body where it's like he's a springboard. He jumps through the damn roof. But if he hurts his knees enough, does it completely derail his game? So, you know, when Ja comes back strong, I get very excited for the Top Shot side of Ja's career. So I thought that was interesting to see Diallo, another one moment that went up a lot, Sadiq Bey. I'm a buyer of Bey right now. His moments, I think, you know, again, over just from the Knick game alone in 24 hours, substantial increase in his value and volume. So you can see that there is an impact when these kind of games are happening and you see some players that are really standing out. There might be some like trading strategies here especially when you have like these like G League style opposition player games where a couple like mid-level stars are all that's left. And now all of a sudden are dropping 30, 35 or having starlight games because the rest of their team is out. There might be some opportunities there if people are looking for, you know, kind of sleeper investments to make.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to us adding that in 2022, right? Being able to not only give input on some of the stuff, do some of the trades ourselves here on the show, open up some packs and really break down the value of these things. So I think it's going to be awesome.
Well, I think what's interesting too is, you know, it really started with like, you know, DFS and daily fantasy, right? Where you would scour looking for like, all right, who's the guy who's going to play because of injuries that I could get for cheap that could maybe win my week or make me some money. Now with Top Shot and with this, with everything going on with COVID, like there are literally guys who you might be able to get moments from on a good price at a good time that are going to maybe realistically play their way into a situation where they're actually going to start getting regular minutes. I think we should call Diallo the Comet. He was the Comet on the Pistons that was going to destroy us all.
No,
like maybe that's his new nickname. He's the Comet because he was about to destroy New York. So I think it's super. And yet Rozier has just been crushing it. He had 35 like the other night, 28. He's just been playing. The Hornets are winning, and he's been playing. He's kind of he's now like obviously LaMelo's like the guy, but Rozier's arguably like their best player. Yeah, I mean LaMelo is their overall best player, but Rozier's just been playing lights out.
And and just quickly some stats, like and hopefully going forward, Jigga, I'll send you some of these charts because we can even kind of reference them just to see where the market is and where it's going. But like right now, in the past 5 days, I always look at the Top Shot total market cap. I find it to be a really interesting way to kind of see where Top Shot is in this roller coaster journey we've been watching for Top Shot. So right now, the total market cap of Top Shot is about 730 million. What that means is like that's the market. That's like the Moment Ranks. Like I'm using Moment Ranks for this one, another platform I like to look at when I'm evaluating things. That's the market cap for the total value of each individual moment. That's how they kind of like look at that. So I always find it really interesting. Right now, the past 5 days, we've seen it go from about 713 to about 730. So, there's a nice little slight upside. The month has been like kind of a roller coaster. In the beginning of the month, it was at 716. It dropped down to about 650. Now it's about 730. It's made a nice run in the past 2 weeks. So Top Shot's definitely on like a good overall course. Year to date is a wild roller coaster for those who've been watching Top Shot for this year. It's definitely been a really fascinating ride. It was over $1 billion total market cap early. I'm looking back now about in May. In May, it was over $1 billion market cap. So total Top Shot moment value dropped almost in half to about 557 at its low, and now it's back on a nice like trajectory. It went back to about 900, then it dropped again to 600. Now it's about 730 and a nice little upswing. So, I think there's a lot going on there that's positive. Top Shot guys, a lot of transactions, a lot of buyers, 27,000 unique buyers and sellers in just the last 24 hours alone. So like, again, we're based in the top, we're an NFT community project, Knights of Degen, NFT, sports related, but at the foundation, we're a Web3 company. So Top Shot was a lot of the driving, really kind of introduced a lot of the, like, at least my friends especially, to NFTs in general, and was like the gateway drug to, okay, then I'm going to open up a MetaMask, then I'm going to get into some NFTs and get apes and get punks and get everything else under the sun. So Top Shot to me is still one of the major pioneers. And when I'm looking at some of the like the hot moments, it's Rozier. Ibaka was had slight, and so for some reason, I don't know, has been a hot moment. I'm just taking a look here. One of the ones that went down a lot. Hold on, I'm just taking a quick look, seeing if there's anything else that's really standing out to me. Donovan Mitchell's been dropping a little bit. I don't know why that is.
I've got Julius Randle. All right, I got one so far. I'm officially in the Top Shot world. How you doing?
There we go. So anyway, guys, we'll start to like do some more Top Shot talking and talk through like, whether it's new sets and new packs that are coming out, or really like the way that I think it probably is the most relevant to our show is simply like, hey, we're watching these games, we're analyzing the games, we're analyzing the players. Where's the opportunity in terms of like what play, like it's similar to DFS, what players are worth betting on. Now, the cool thing about Top Shot versus DFS is we could take long-term plays and short-term plays rather than just short-term plays. So like, again, I've been holding Ja as a big investment for 2 years now because I'm super bullish on Ja's career over the long haul. I took a position in Sadiq Bey earlier this year because I was starting to see this guy play and I was like, wow, he's got game that I think is worth holding. Now, on the other side of the coin, you're looking at someone like Amadou Diallo, and I'm like, you know what? That's a guy that you might be able to like swing in and out of. He's really hot. There's a lot of injuries going on. There's a lot of people out, and he's getting a lot of face time. And like that could be a moment where you say you jump in for a short period of time, you ride his wave of like putting up some big numbers on a team that's completely depleted, and then you maybe get out and move it somewhere else. So I thought it's just interesting to be able to talk long and short holds too.
Nice. And we'll be able to break it down for everybody, give that insight. So guys, we've got 3 minutes left, and I can't go into the new year without doing hot or not.
Let's do it.
Rapid fire. Here we go. I feel like I should put like the game show host voice when we do this now on, right? Jerry, we'll start with you. No, all right. So, hot or not, on the fact that the Knicks are not rocking the classic jerseys as scheduled this entire season. What's up?
Not. I just like no, not.
I didn't notice till the article popped up on Bleacher Report on my
not
phone. So
like come
no
on,
idea.
no. I'm just not even gonna.
Drew,
spend time on
hot
it.
or not? Kemba Walker is back.
I gotta go hot, dude. I gotta go hot for Kemba. I mean, dude, I'm really enjoying watching him play with like with a chip on his shoulder. I'm having fun with it.
Jerry, hot or not on Jericho Sims when he comes back from COVID?
Hot. I mean, warm is the real answer,
Okay,
but
all right.
it's more
But
hot than cold. My answer would actually be warm. Like yeah, not a whole lot of opportunity, but like I've liked what he's done, and you got to just stay ready this year. You know, stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. That's what my grandfather used to tell me.
Could you believe though, like another situation where a guy has a standout game and then all of a sudden the next day has COVID?
Yeah, next day,
That's
literally.
like wild.
The kid cracked a smile for the first time and then ends up on the COVID list.
The sim is
Crazy.
broken.
All right. So, Drew, hot or not on the fact that the guy who spelled Quickly's jersey wrong should be fired?
Wait, what do you mean? Is that a thing?
That happened in last night's game. They spelled his name wrong on the jersey.
I really hope that there's a Top Shot moment with Quickly's jersey spelled wrong. I hope that, like, listen, he's I'm all for giving people second chances. I just hope that it made a Top Shot moment.
Nice. Jerry, hot or not, with Randall being out, is there somebody that comes in and takes away those minutes even when he comes back healthy?
Interesting.
I'm gonna say not, because that's a lot of evolution for Tibbs. Like, let's baby step this with him. You know, we've seen, like, when you do something for Tibbs, he never forgets it. Randall did that for him last year. We talked about Taj. So, like, no, I think Randall's spot is safe. I mean, maybe a slight reduction. Like, hey, let's not run the guy 39. Maybe he goes down to 35 minutes a game. But no, not really. I just don't think Tibbs would evolve this year like that.
Jerry, what is your quick follow-up question to that, though? If 3 games in a row, I'm saying like the ultimate situation happens where Obi's dropping 25 and 10. Okay, 25 and 10, playing 33 minutes a game. What happens then?
Then you might have to say, hey, Dave, Julius, you know, maybe you still got some symptoms and you want to maybe, you know.
And the tinfoil is back for everybody.
You know, I mean, Cabo's really nice this time of year.
Exactly.
You know, but come back. We're not saying take the rest of the year, come back, but let's ride this thing out till Obi has an 0 for 9, and then we'll get back to regularly scheduled programming.
That's fair.
Guys, so glad we can pull off our 4th episode of Big
Yes.
Bong Knicks Nights. I hope both of you have a happy new year. To all the viewers, keep tuning in. We've got so much more that's going to be coming to our episodes every Thursday for you guys, adding all kinds of new segments and elements. And come on, you got Drew, Austin, and Jay Ferrara. How could you complain? How you doing? Guys, I hope everybody has a happy new year. And before we go, let's go ahead and see what's...
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, Happy New Year, Knights.